to the 2.02 update show. The end times are on us, and we are going to walk you through them. I am Gormizer, and joining me at the round table for this update show is going to be Alyssa, Thunderbrush, and Garrett. And we have a ton of stuff that's coming into this. We have a new event, we have a new map, a lot of new skins coming with both of those. But the biggest thing, and I think this is the thing that's always on everyone's mind, and we've moved it to the front because of it, is the hunt. So there are a lot of people who might not know exactly what the hunt is. Some people have been working very hard for the hunt. So Alyssa, would you just kind of walk us through what the hunt is and what we're doing?
Yeah, so the hunt is our initiative in 2019 to improve the quality of Paladins throughout the year, throughout all of Season 2. So 2.01 Fire and Ice was our first patch under the hunt initiative. We introduced a lot of quality of life stuff like the map callouts and several bug fixes. Well, not several, like a big list of bug fixes. So in this patch, we've got the exact same thing. Actually, the bug fixes take up such a massive amount of the patch notes that we printed out the patch notes themselves.
Well, we're going through them, guys.
Garrett is going to go through it all. Here we go.
Really
Get ready. Buckle up.
Hold on to your butts. Okay. So for this patch on the hunt, we've got a lot of great stuff. I'm going to start with Amani. She's the character we just released, and she has some issues, so there's a lot of visibility on her. But we're really happy with the reception of Amani. Like, she's seen a lot of playthrough. Awesome. She brings so much awesome elements to the realm. So we're gonna make her technically sound with this update. So right off the bat, we fixed a case where Amani would get locked out of firing her in-hand attacks. This is a case of this instance. The interesting part of it is that actually not even interesting. It's like, we're a shooter, right? So getting locked out of your in-hand, no matter for how long or if it lasts for a little bit and then I can unlock it, like, it's unacceptable, right? Like, it feels terrible to play. You're defenseless, right? And it's like, oh God, please. And also the animation bugs, and it's terrible. So we fixed one case of that. We've also fixed a case where Amani's dragon would become unkillable and persist indefinitely. That's a problem. Like, dragons need to be slayed. All right, that's like
that ult route would really drag on.
Okay, I'm not even gonna give that any time. We're moving right past that, right? Thank you. Okay, we fixed a case where upon death, Amani's avatar would fail to animate and slowly sink into the ground. What's interesting about here is this bug fix actually should also affect other instances of this. It's just less obvious because, like, sometimes barracks turrets would do the exact same thing, right? Because they're deployable, the animation bug would occur, and then they would just like sink through the earth, like in this kind of really comical way. It's just when it's happening with a giant 30-foot dragon, it's far more noticeable and looks a little weird. So clean that up for you guys. Also fixed another bug in there as a bonus with the turret thing. We fixed a case where Amani's ice board would just get like wedged in her person via like on a round reset or like on death.
What happens when ice magic backfires?
Yeah, you know, it's not pretty.
No.
It's cold.
Magic is deadly.
Yeah. Fixed an issue where Wrecker, Cauterize, Bulldozer affected Frost Bomb and Inferno Cannon. So this is important too because I want to clear this up. It is not the design intent, right? That these are like extensions of her in-hand because they're magic and she's a magic character. Her in-hands are her in-hands. So Pyreball and Frostbolt are what should be affected by those store items. So no longer will Inferno Cannon and Frostbomb take on those attributes. Moving on, we've fixed a case where, Amani's emotes and MVP poses now display properly, have the correct icons. Amani no longer retains Moji's magic marks, either on herself or on her dragon, and like them persisting permanently after the swap occurs. Also, the same goes for the Ceres soul charges as well, because it's a similar systems as Moji's. We also fixed an issue where Amani could appear on the ground to opponents while she was channeling Inferno Cannon in the air, which is terrible because when someone's character is not where they say they are in a shooter, that's where you shoot, right? Yeah. So that's taken care of now too. One thing that's still under investigation with Amani, and I, if you guys have any like ideas or ways to reproduce this, but the scenario where, and it's a niche scenario, it's a rare scenario, it just sucks when it happens, is where the Amani player ulting close to the end of round then gets, or excuse me, close to the end of game, gets trapped in Paladins game limbo like in the server while like bots are playing and the match is technically ended, but she's still there. So that's what we're driving on and grinding on to find right now. But there's a host of other fixes for money that should have her at a far better spot. And also, actually, I'll go to the next character. So Strix, Flare XL no longer reveals enemies with unauthorized use. Because as you guys remember from our last update, unauthorized use now makes the flare not reveal solely for the damage. Terminus, it's a big one on everyone's kind of mind. So in this patch, we fixed the issue where certain scenarios would lead to Terminus effectively being invisible, right? And there's just this unseeable, it's John Cena with an axe, right? Coming at you and taking you down. So the problem is, the gold weapons that have the on-kill death effect, right, mess with some of the mesh logic, and he remained broken up and under the world, right? And then but he didn't reform on the server, but he reformed on, the Terminus player's client. So that issue is fixed. We fixed an issue where Terminus would teleport back to Khan if he died from Khan's ult, which is a terrifying thing to think about, right? Because you're Khan, you just like yeet this guy off the map, and then bingo, like there's a giant stone monstrosity back in your face, like, excuse me?
You thought you'd seen the last of me.
Yeah. So those are the ones that we have fixes for this release. However, there are still more issues with Terminus that are under investigation, such as the client server, or so the kind of I can't auto attack one. We have leads on that. We are working on a solution. We believe this is due to a client server disagreement to actually, basically the server is thinking that the client has an additional Calamity Blast charge after absorbing it with Power Siphon. And then when the player goes to fire Calamity Blast, the player's client says, I'm going to fire 2. And the server says, nah, you're going to fire 3. And then they're like, no, I'm firing 2. No, I'm firing 3. And what happens then is the Calamity Blast animation lockout, right? When the hand goes pop, that's just in the background, constantly playing, constantly locking out. So when you go and try and in-hand, right, you can't, because the server's saying, no, 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 no. You're doing the Calamity Blast. So we have leads on that. We're going to kind of grind on that to try and fix that up for you guys. And still investigating movement while resurrecting and movement while, or excuse me, the movement in the Shatterfall being kind of weird, like stuttery, like, which has to do with kind of how the gravity curve is being applied during that ability. So those are the Terminus, state of Terminus. For Torvald, we fixed issues that would allow players to gain benefits of some of his cards without actually casting the protection bubbles. And you could like flick off the screen, right, and then abuse that system by getting benefits that you weren't really honestly triggering. Some more general bug fixes. So when we shipped 2.1, ranked was coming out, right, guys? And there on the ranked page, it's like, win X amount of games to get some benefit. And we had messaged previously, play. This is going to be play amounts of games to get these benefits. It's still play. It was always ever going to be play. It's just the text was incorrect, and that is getting fixed. I apologize for the confusion there.
And your progress is being tracked.
Yes.
So in the next patch, like, you don't have to worry. You're still going to have.
It's not like reset or anything.
Yeah, it's not going to reset. You're going to have all of the games you've played that will contribute to that total.
Exactly. Happy to clear that up for everyone. So Battle Pass experience quests are now going to correctly progress. Some were not working as intended. Also, we introduced some various description and text cleanups that I'm going to like buzz through right here. So the following things have had some text communication things tidied up. Mecha Prowler, Crimson Serpent, Net Shot, Shortcut, Whirlwind, Magnums, Fireball, Bulwark, Restore Soul, Infiltrator Strix, Life Exchange, and Counter. So these should be.
I want someone to take that audio clip
and
put it to the Pokemon theme.
Oh, no.
That was like in perfect cadence.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Shout outs to Pokemon. We also fixed an issue where the refund banner on the DLC panels were placed incorrectly, were unreadable, and when the player scrolled, Remix and Redux Equalizer, the weapon from the Strix skins, now has the correct exclusivity tags. They were actually swapped, which was confusing to some players. Music packs are now show their full name and item description in the purchase window, so you actually know what you're buying. Battle Pass boosters obtained from gifts now show the correct amount on the number received. We also fixed an issue where champions sometimes persisted on screen or played a walking animation after being eliminated by a golden weapon. That was so annoying, right? When like a player gets murked, killed, destroyed, whatever, and then their body's just like, I'm still here. How you doing? How you doing? And they're like, what are you doing? Die.
You would get some funny moments though. I had several where you just like you watch Buck just walk off into the sky and you're like, I don't know where you're going.
It's only
but enjoy
funny
your
so
adventure.
many times, okay, Gore? Right. So we also, fix an issue with the battle. Okay, we fixed an issue where the battle pass icon appeared on every line when a player sent a chat message. That's obnoxious. No longer going to bother you guys. We have card images that no longer disappear on the scoreboard when you select social. We fixed an issue where reconnecting after a disconnect would show a loading screen with garbage text like % missing map ID info MCTS map game, like no more. So that's not going to weird anyone out. Fixed an issue where Furia would erroneously say the line "Vengeance rises," sometimes repeatedly. Like, we get it, Furia. We know you're mad. You're very vengeful.
Character.
Yeah, it's so in character.
Yeah.
But it's a bug when she's like, "Vengeance rises, vengeance rises, vengeance rises," and you're like, okay.
She's focused.
Yep, she's super focused. We fixed an issue where Merrymaker Maeve's footsteps seem to move for players playing as Maeve. Those are now going to be more attached to her person and shouldn't be confusing. We fixed an issue where Sky's jump sound was being heard globally, which was real weird. So if you're Sky right now, I recommend not jumping in live. Fixed an issue where healing an ally as Genos with the Remix Freestyler equipped would cause him to leave a healing loop sound at the world location of the recipient of that heal. We fixed an issue where the Xenobuster Ash's shoulder bash was also being heard globally. And we fixed an issue where the mecha announcer for the mecha battle pass that we just, the anime mecha battle pass Battlesuit Battle Pass that we just shipped was too quiet. So now it should be far more loud. You can hear a lot better. And also, a long time coming, we have some notable improvements to AI pathing and objective kind of prioritization. So there are significant improvements to how the AI and bot pathing works in regards to attacking, defending, and pushing objectives. I know that's a sore spot for a lot of our players. So those are the ones that are coming in 2.02. However, I'm also going to use this time because like moments before we actually probably came out with the show, we are also working on a hot fix for 2.01 because we have some really good stuff that I want to go over with you guys. Some really high priority fixes that we were able to get in that release for the previous one. So I'm going to go through those right now because I think they're really awesome and they're valuable. So these are the following issues that were addressed in the 2.01 hotfix. Okay, we fixed an issue where Zhin's weapon shots clipped on map collision. This is one that has been hounding us for the longest time. Our pro players are doing their job and being super adamant, like, hey guys, like Zhin, we can't play Zhin because of this issue. And we're like, okay, we finally got it for you guys. Give them a go. Let us try out. Make Lord Zhin viable once again. Shout outs to Bitey. Fixed an issue where Khan could ult players while they were CC immune. This was introduced when we changed his ult functionality to be the skill shot hit cast or instant cast that then triggers the grab. You could like rip Inara's and Drogoz out of the pre-fire of their ult. No longer. We fixed an issue where the Battlesuit Battle Pass read 0 days remaining. We fixed an issue where Season 2 was listed as Season 3. We fixed an issue... Actually, this isn't really a bug, but a clarity thing. So with the introduction of Amani, right, the dragon is obviously like a really key part of what makes up Amani's character. And we were seeing that a lot of players were actually unclear or didn't understand that Bulldozer, that affects deployables, would also affect the dragon. So we've expanded the messaging on Bulldozer itself to say it affects deployables, pets, and illusions. So pets or illusions like Ying, deployables like Barracks Turret, these are all affected by Bulldozer. We fixed an issue where acquiring a real money purchase from the store closed the client. It's a wonderful thing. Fixed an issue where swapping to the Mixer store from any menu would leave leftover artifacts on your screen. We fixed an issue where players could crash the first time they viewed Amani's loadout. We fixed an issue that prevented some PS4 players from even logging in. That one was real nasty. We fixed a crash condition in the shooting range on Switch and Xbox. We fixed an issue where values over 1,000 were displayed incorrectly in Russian. So even got some localization fixes in you from there. we disabled the, so this is important too, because it kind of hints at a larger problem. So we disabled a 30-second video playback feature on Switch to increase performance and decrease crash conditions. So this one needs some explanation. The default hardware of the Switch comes with this feature auto-enabled for all games, and all of your big game developers, and now us included, just disable it, because what happens is it eats all of your memory that would be better used for the game itself and playing the game, and was leading to a lot of problematic scenarios where the game wanted to do a thing but didn't have enough available memory to be able to do it, which could cause a crash.
So Switch players should see a big improvement there on the number of crashes.
This is very important to us.
I'll just throw in, there's also other apps that will do that on PC. So if you're having drastic issues, that is something that is included in certain things for like GPUs and things. So you can look for that. 30-second playback for some reason was like this really big push, but it just brings everything down.
Yeah, the hardware of the Switch, it doesn't allow for as much memory, of course, as a PC. So that's something that a lot of larger game developers have just done away with that feature. And so we're going that way, and we expect it will give big improvements to Switch players.
Yes. We've also fixed a case where the client would crash if the player was sent a number of specific strings of text. So that is no longer going to bother people. Apologies for that. And that wraps it up for the bug fix section. On our patch notes, there is a large under investigation section that both includes and adds to some of the under investigation issues from the last patch notes. This is something that's being curated and maintained. So if this is something you're passionate about and want to help us, go ahead, review it. Let us know if you have any insights. Apologies for kind of glazing over everyone's eyes to talk about the bug fixes, but it's something we value a lot, and we know a lot of our dedicated players value too. So now
and that hotfix we just talked about actually just released 30 minutes ago on PC at 2 o'clock Eastern time. So it is live on PC, and it's in certification for all of the consoles, and it's actually the second hotfix we've released for 2.01. We introduced some balance fixes in this hotfix too that we'll go over later. But yeah, that was our second one, and it just released, so it's live now on PC.
But yeah, like you said, there's a ton of under investigation stuff still. So if you want to see either something that wasn't mentioned that you think needed to be on there, it might be under investigation as it is. So go read those when the patch notes go live after the show. But for now, we're going to jump into something else that was talked about in 2.01, but is going to be finally coming in 2.02, and that is going to be crossplay. So Alyssa, just kind of walk us through. I guess we went through the overarching things, but what's happening with crossplay this patch?
Yeah, so we pushed crossplay and cross progression back to 2.02 because, one, we wanted to spend a little bit more development time on it to make sure it was shipped in the best state as possible, but we also wanted to release it with some community features that people have been asking for. So crossplay and cross progression is coming in 2.02. It's also going to be releasing with mouse and keyboard support for Xbox, and you'll have a fully cross-platform friends list for the first time ever, which is going to be really cool. So you can play with your friends, you can add them. So as far as the mouse keyboard support, if you guys missed in the 2.01 update when we first talked about how matchmaking is going to work, matchmaking and ranked queues are going to be by your input type, so whether that be controller or mouse and keyboard, and you can choose that and change that in your settings. So if you're on Xbox, you will have mouse and keyboard support as well.
Yeah, it's really awesome, guys, and the ability to play with far more people is going to have the potential for far faster queue times, far better matchmaking. It's really a great time for gaming in general, and us specifically.
So for crossplay, it's going to be for Xbox, Switch, and PC, and then cross progression, which we're also introducing, is going to be between PC and Xbox. So that means you're going to have one account. You'll be able to switch between PC and Xbox, keep all of your items, keep your progression. It's like the first time we've ever done anything like this before, so it's really exciting.
And so just because I have just a few notes that are coming here for cross progression, I guess, Garrett, you're probably the one who will know everything about this, but when it comes to things like ranked, when it comes to having, like, if I have an Xbox account on Paladins, that's one level, my PC account is a different level, what's going to happen when things are linked and the progression is going simultaneously?
Sure. So there is going to be ranked is input specific only. So there's a league, right, for controllers, and there'll be a league for keyboard and mouse. And both of them will progress the same set of activities and goals on the ranked screen in general. But in ranked is going to be gated entirely around input method, and then the general queues are going to be kind of a catch-all, right? So there'll be mixing and matching console and controller and mouse and keyboard players. And then our players are also going to have the option to elect out of that, should that be something they choose. all things are looking good so far. So it's we're really excited to see what this does for the game, and it's a level of connectivity that no one's ever had before.
And it's also going to improve matchmaking, right? Because there's going to be like 3 times the pool of players than we had previously.
Yeah, you're no longer kind of, I guess, isolated on your own island of I can only play against like other PC players. Like if you're playing in Masters, like there's some guy on Xbox who is incredibly good. You're playing with a controller, you're going to get matched with him. Like you're going to be able to play with him. So I think that's going to be expansive.
If you said in Masters, but that would be in ranked, and ranked is input specific.
Right, input specific.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you in ranked, you're only going to be playing against people that are using the same input method.
So if you have a controller, they have a controller, you're going to go against each other.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And we have a full FAQ at highriskstudios.com/crossplay. So if there are any specific questions, we went like really in detail about every single case scenario there.
But crossplay, cross progression, something we went at and extensively on, I want to say in 2.01 for the patch notes, something that has been a huge post about it. I'm sure people can post that in chat for anyone who's super interested in it, but we do have other things, a lot more content. We've gone over the bug fixes, we've gone over crossplay and cross progression, but we have a new map that is going to be coming for this patch. It
beautiful,
is
guys.
the Shattered Desert, and there was a little lore blurb that came out about a week ago that was kind of leading into this, and you can actually talk on the patch notes. It is allowed. We finally have a section for you
Bugs
to
are
talk about the
important to talk
Shattered
about.
Desert.
Look at that.
Yeah, shout out to Alex and the environment team here, but this was a really fun map to work on, and we finally got to have a real environment, desert environment that is brought to Paladins, which was a really exciting challenge for us. There'll be some slightly different gameplay elements Garrett will talk on a little bit later, but the sort of high-level kind of lore theme here has a lot of hooks that's going to become really interesting to pay attention to as the year develops. But
What are all these portals? What are all
I
these
don't know.
tears?
It's like tears in reality of some sort. We also have a fun little spirit fox circling the spawn room tree here, which is a really great little detail. But this map is basically a place where a temple was erected around the shattered remnants from the, the fallen remnants of the shattered moon. That's a mouthful.
But yeah, guys,
So-
you've seen the Shattered Moon, right,
Yeah.
on all of our maps. And now we're getting a little bit more of a peek into maybe some of the history on why, how, where, what, where, and when. Like, even walking around in this map, like, this map brings something new that Paladins had. Like, we didn't have a desert map, right?
No,
and we've done it in such a way that is really cool. Gore, you mentioned earlier that it's like, when you think of desert map, you thought of like yellow and bland, right?
Sand, plains for miles. Maybe if you're lucky, you're gonna have some like cacti that are propped up somewhere to make it feel, or you get like a Western vibe or something. This, like, it feels like a ruins. It feels like a desert, but you've managed to, I want to say, encompass it in a way that actually makes it a lot more interesting. Like something that you wouldn't expect, I guess, when you hear the phrase "Shattered Desert."
Yeah, we played with this idea with the kind of ancient ruins with this sort of celestial fox deity motif. Which also kind of gave us access to a color palette to play with to kind of cool down the desert, to have something feel a little more unique. You can still get the kind of expected desert vistas when you look out in the horizon.
So it looks like right here, I mean, like on any other map, there'd probably be a wall here, right?
Yes.
This would be the
map.
edge. Can you walk beyond the edges? And like, is this going to be like some like Halo 3, like the Sentinels are just going to start attacking? Like, if you leave the map, turrets immediately
that's a
kill
good
you?
point.
So you're touching on some of the unique gameplay elements that this map is bringing. So as you can see right now on screen, there's this kind of these stripes, lingering stripes of runic fire. These are both present on the outskirts of the map. Also, where my cameraman is standing is in like this kind of desert quicksand. So it's not quite a lethal hazard, right? However, you probably don't want to fight out here outside of this flank route. And then if you touch the fire portion, which if he's brave enough he'll do, it's gonna take care of you real quick, much as a hazard would in our normal maps. However, it's not done via a drop off. It's not done via a cliff face. And it's something new. And those flames are actually the super damaging ones. There's another instance of these flames. Kev, if you could switch to maybe a flying character, maybe Andro or Drogoz. But so there's some new things we've done with the tops of the maps, where there's spots where maybe a cooldown cheat. yeah.
There we go.
So these fire runes, or fire, not runes, but kind of like
possibly may or may not be moon magic.
Moon magic fire is allocated to some of the areas where players aren't really meant to be standing. However, this map, both in flow and function, we wanted to feel less restrictive. We wanted it to be very open, so we're not going to put blocking volumes there. That like basically allow players to like, you know, like they would get up to, if they're flying over it, right, they'd come into contact with a visible wall. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to like allow you to traverse, use all of our characters' abilities very crazily, however you guys want. But still having the gameplay thing where it's like, we don't want characters to be able to get up on these high perches and just stand there forever and be able to shoot down on people because it's unhealthy for gameplay. But this map embodies big and open. It's a lot of fun to play with. This capture point is super dynamic, and we haven't really scratched this itch in Paladins with any of our current maps. So we're really happy to be able to bring this experience to you guys, and we're excited to see you guys get in and play.
And it's nice to have another siege map so soon, right? Because our players love siege maps, and so we didn't have one for a while. Then we released Warder's Gate, and now we've got Shattered Desert right after it, like back to back.
2 patches later, you're getting another siege map. That is something to be excited about. I think I'm most excited to see the challenge of how far you can get outside the map. Like I want to see like loadouts build as tanky as you possibly can. How much health. And can you get far enough?
On the outskirts,
on the edge.
no. On the outskirts, there is a blocking volume on that.
You'll die.
Yeah.
There is no surviving. Oh, either way, it's looking amazing. I love the feel and the vibe of this map, as well as the flames and the effects that they have, just because, like you said, it does leave it a lot more open. But as with all good things, a map is going to be coming in with a new event. The event is called the End Times. It's the whole kind of theme, I think, that's been tackled so far. And there's going to be lore behind it. We've already had like a little bit of a tidbit that came through in like text form online, but there's going to be more coming through. So I guess what lore is being attached not only to the map, but with this new event that's going to be coming into the game.
Okay, so if you guys have been paying attention to the story of the realm thus far, right? The short story that we released earlier was super good. It really personified some really cool elements of our characters. But we're things are happening. Powerful individuals are grouping up, right? A synopsis, if you haven't read it, is now that Imani has kind of come onto the scene after the Dragon's Call event, right? The beacon was lit, she appeared, is now part of the realm, and she has sought out Valera. And like, their meeting wasn't quite happenstance. To them, it was kind of happenstance, but really it was a far more powerful being, or more powerful. It's, it's kind of weird how the power scales. But Genos was pulling strings behind the scenes to arrange this meeting of the Paladins powerhouses, right? And what they determined, right, was they're trying to plan and seek out the reasonings and the movements behind the magistrate's recent actions. And they determined that in the Shattered Desert, the new siege map we are just releasing, lies the key to some very powerful elements that are going to greatly impact the future of the realm. And right now, all the forces are being drawn to the Shattered Desert, and they are like flabbergasted by all these tears, these portals. Things are kind of out of flux. You may have seen elements of it in 2.1. Perhaps these tears and rifts were appearing in the character loading lobby outside in the Vista. It's a rumor. I don't know.
Maybe.
And
you might see them.
In this event, in the End Times event, we are going to do a special game mode specifically for it that is about these forces coming in and experiencing this kind of investigation that, of course, because it's Paladins versus Magistrate, is going to involve a lot of fighting around these kind of these tears in reality. So it's a brand new game mode that we haven't done yet. Think of it kind of like a crazy King of the Hill riff, where in that new siege map, there's going to be points that are going to periodically spawn and then move around the map that players are going to have to fight and contest over to gain points to increment a score total. And then the team that gets the score total first wins, obviously. But the unique thing is that around these points, each point is representative of a tear in reality, and the tear messes with reality. So every point is going to have a new unique buff associated that's going to change the gameplay dynamically throughout the match. Anything from like ult charge, like a point will spawn and then everyone will just boom, get their ults immediately. Or a point will spawn, and then your jump height is increased and your gravity is reduced. So you have like this like low grav space combat going around, where maybe you jump up and then you're like, oh, I'm going towards that fire. No. And you use a movement ability to get out of the way. Also, there's a host of other things, but it's a really cool game mode. We know our players like this kind of thing, both in, we did it with Siege of Ascension Peak, Rise of Furia, Dragon's Call, and we're really happy to bring it to you. Like, oh, look at that time tear. That's so awesome.
And so this one, it's 400 to win, but you can see at the top in the middle, it says anti-gravity, and I think you can see how it's affecting all the champions in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty nutty.
So every time these portals move, I mean, it's going to affect kind of the reality of Shattered Desert a little bit differently. So it's going to give you a different experience.
Yep. It's super cool and a lot of fun to play through.
You get to explore the new map.
Pip,
and
he's going up.
What will be, I guess, like queue after queue, a unique experience every single game. Because like you don't know, is it like when you load in, you don't know if the first thing you're going to get is anti-gravity, like it's going to change. Now you have the Ultima engine. I don't even know what this is going to do.
And based on the lore, this is like a battle between the Paladins versus the Magistrate, but your
Yes.
champion ownership doesn't matter for this game mode, so you can play certain champions even if you don't own them.
That's going to be good news. Anyone who doesn't have them, I guess, immediately unlocked, being able to jump in. As you can see now, I think this one is just a ridiculous skirmish coming through. And this game mode is going to be insane. So I'm going to just ask, I guess, the base game mode things. Not outside of the, I want to say, unique gameplay elements with the anti-gravity, all the other things. It looks like kill count, tickets, you're picking up, there's a timer. How is the, I guess, game mode working overall?
So kind of, I mean, you kind of gave the synopsis of it right there. Like, sitting on those points, right, gains points that increments your total, and you want to follow the points as they move to gain further gaining points. Killing players also gains points, but not at the same rate as standing on the point itself. And then the first team to the total amount of points wins.
Nice and clean. It makes it really easy. Follow the points, kill anything that gets in your way.
Avoid
as
dragons.
long as they're on your team or the other team. Don't try to focus on anyone on your side. If you had anything in here that did swap it and allow friendly fire, that would cause too much trouble.
We didn't do that, but I'll take a note. I'll take a note.
Was that ever an idea that got floated by?
Friendly fire has
It would
been a
hurt.
thing, an idea pitched multiple times. However, in our game, our AoEs are very large, right? So it'd probably be a quite unfavorable experience.
Well, that is going to be, I guess, the new gameplay, but with every new event, we also have rewards that come through. And rewards are something that I guess has normally been behind kind of like, okay, you get this bundle, this bundle, this bundle, and then you get the big thing. But things are going to be a little bit different for this patch. So how are the rewards and unlocking them changing?
Yeah, so this patch is a little bit different. In line with the lore and the gameplay, you're going to earn something called chrono shards. So you can earn chrono shards by completing quests that are going to rotate every few weeks, and you can also earn them by purchasing some of the bundles. And so there's a reward track that you'll immediately unlock tons of different rewards. We've got the full reward track here, actually, along the way for every single amount of chrono shards that you get. And so you can get those again by doing the rotating quests. Every few weeks there will be a new set of quests for you to complete, or by purchasing the skin bundles, which come with, I believe, 40 chrono shards.
I think that sounds about right. It's a really cool format, guys. Do quests, get shards, earn rewards. There's quests for the new game mode, likely, and we're going to constantly update the rewards track too, and that's kind of the new element that we're adding to this mode. Because before we would like launch and it'd be like, boom, here's 3 skins and then the 4th skin. This one is we're gonna start with 2 skins available for direct purchase that then will get you to a certain milestone that you can unlock, and then as the event goes on, the weeks go on, you're gaining more quests. We're gonna keep adding things to the rewards track so you can keep unlocking.
And you kind of got a hint, I want to say, at the theme. You could see like Makoa standing in the back there, and there's, I guess, a certain theme that's coming out for at least these 4 skins that we have immediately. And like you said, starting with the ones that are going to be available with this patch for direct purchase, we have Omega Shaolin. And so let's just go ahead and take a look at the turnaround, or at least the screen. You can see the way he's going through. A little bit more, I guess, I want to say mecha, but we just did mecha, so it's not quite mecha, but more.
We're calling
They're
this
almost from a different time.
Yeah. The theme, right, is that these portals, they're messing with reality, maybe messing with time, and it's allowing elements from a Paladins, maybe different universe, maybe different future to trickle into the realm. So these are like these characters reimagined in kind of this Omega universe, Omega future.
Yeah, its own reality.
And so I think we actually do have the turnaround so we can hear some of the voice lines as well as just see the 3D model for Omega Shaolin. So let's go ahead and look at that as well.
I am SHA version 106, created by Realm Research and Analytics. My primary drive controls all functions. I will protect resistance leaders. Loading era-appropriate humor. Ahem. Yo mama is so... You did so well. For an organic. I'll bathe my lug nuts in your blood. Oh, very sorry. Must have been a virus. I am the droid you are looking for. Scanning your primary drive. Protocol failure. What is that?
I can already tell that I'm going to love every voice pack that's coming with this patch, because that one, even just being like, I want to say like a small taste, was remarkable. But so alternate universe, the Shaolin, I think, just claimed that he was created by somebody, so he has
To
been
protect
built
the
up.
resistance leaders. Yeah.
So
yeah.
he's coming through, and it looks amazing.
Oh,
The
look at that!
effects
Look at
on
that!
this
Kevin, go to
game,
1P.
yeah,
Go to 1P,
turning
Kev.
around.
Let me see this bow. Do it. Yes. Yep. Okay. And do the impaler arrow. I think is my favorite part.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is awesome.
So cool.
Look at that! Look at that! Yeah, that's so sick.
Yeah, VFX team's on fire this time.
Guys, this skin is hot.
And this skin is going to be available, again, with the patch, direct purchase for 400 crystals right off the bat. So you can get it immediately. I think there's going to be people out there who have been waiting for a Shaolin skin, and I can't think of a better one to immediately get than this.
Dude, this one is dope.
Yeah.
I'm super happy how this came out.
And I love the effects. That arrow probably is going to be the thing that I geek out over the most, but even his invisibility, kind of having that set in a way that you haven't gotten to really see in the past, at least in the game, just because of the way it is, that cloaking. And of course, I think with his ult, his planted, that is such a beautiful field around it too. Like,
So this skin
I
is
love skins
400
like that.
crystals, and when you purchase it, you also get 40 chrono shards that can be used towards the rewards track.
and so you'll be able to unlock things. And I think I didn't go through the list, but it's going to have sprays, emotes, gold chests, avatars. You saw the image going forward before, so you can always go back. But this one, again, is one of the ones immediately for purchase. There's also another one that will be with this patch shipped out, available for purchase, 400 crystals. I'm assuming kind of similar deal, and that is going to be a Terminus skin as well. So not only does Shaolin get a new update, I guess Terminus got the Yeti one relatively soon, but that is going to be the menacing Terminus that is hulking
Omega
towards you in game.
Terminus.
Omega. It's one of my personal favorites.
Dude, I can't say enough about this axe. I'm so glad that the card art has it in the foreground. Like, this axe is insane, guys. I can't wait for you to see it.
It's so cool.
And very similar to the last one, we have the turnaround ready to be able to go through, and we can just go ahead and watch.
Decimation parameter Omega.
That's such a cool
Organic life form removal sequences. I am here to exterminate. Humor is suboptimal. Call function. Get joke. I will crush you. I do not feel pain. Your flesh is weak. Once more I rise. Please let me die. No! No!
Look at that.
I feel like there's so many like different sci-fi notes you can take about a robot
God.
begging for death.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
So
What
good.
is my purpose? Doge.
That axe looks remarkable. I think like just having that come through.
Dude, I didn't hear the sounds
Chainsaw
like on the
ass.
booster.
Yeah.
On the delete.
It's so cool.
Doge. Oh,
Yeah.
come on. Oh, it's so good.
Fangirl Garrett is my favorite part of the show.
That's beautiful. No, you kicked butt, man. Nice job. Or Thomas, whoever did that.
Yeah. Audio Boys knocked it out this time.
Oh, that's snappy. That feels good.
So I'm guessing again, coming from an alternate timeline, a
This
different universe. This is just not our Terminus turned rogue.
Yeah.
This is not our turn.
Yeah.
it's
So,
Rogue.
so the overall theme, right, is that this future Paladins land, this Omega realm,
Yes.
Omega future timeline, still has the same factions, right? The dynamics are probably a little shifted, but these kind of the sentient AI are constructed to then hunt down the Paladins resistance leaders, and then the Paladins also create sentient AI to then defend and counter assassinate, right? So it's like.
You live in a world where instead of having all the cool abilities and magic,
Yeah.
like they were just really, really good programmers, and they were
Yeah.
like, well, we can't fight you like this, but I can make a robot that will beat you down.
Well, the conflict in the Omega realm just escalated technology.
I can imagine, I mean, getting, when you have weapons like that, or when you see that Shaolin coming around, it would be, there's a certain escalation. It doesn't matter how magical you are. Like, you're still flesh and bone. You're still going to get taken down. These guys are going to be coming through. I am incredibly excited. This is the one I think I'm most excited for, but...
So this skin, as well as Shaolin and the other purchasable ones, is also 400 crystals and comes with the 40 chrono shards.
We're getting, I think that was the attempt for a reanimate, but it didn't quite go the way that they thought it would. So there's 1 health.
It probably won't work with the GM commands.
And now shoot him. Come on, Cassie. You got this. I believe in you.
Dude, that sound is so good.
Do it.
There she goes. That's awesome. That's
some Transformers level.
Reassembled.
The effects on this and the sounds that are coming through, everything just fits so perfectly with the skin, and I guess with the theme that's coming through with it as well.
Yes.
When you were, I guess, like when this was still concept, what was like the transition of having to go from like, okay, we can draw really cool robots on paper, but to actually come out and see something like this?
We certainly had a few technical hurdles we had to kind of leap over with this guy. Animation rigging was oddly enough the biggest one here. But we persevered. We have a lot of great talent internally and banged out a really great skin. The actual movable blades on the saw axe came
They're beautiful, man.
Yeah, that actually came from the team. It wasn't an original intent for the weapon at all. It's something we kind of figured out we could do like halfway through, and it totally worked it.
It's definitely looking
Flashes too are mean, man.
Yeah.
What's the sound effect? Like one of I think the best things about Terminus is going to be the feedback you get. Like hitting someone with a massacre axe when it has a title like Massacre Axe needs to sound meaty and needs to feel good.
You're right.
This
You're
I think
so
fits
right.
in
You're so right, Gore.
Yep.
But this isn't the last skin that's going to be coming through. There's also like again the rewards you can get, but there are 2 skins that are going to be coming out later than the patch. One, I believe, is a reward for unlocking those 2, and the other one is going to be for purchase.
Or unlocking one and then doing quests to gain, because that's the nature of this event, right? Like the rewards track is an accumulation of points that you get from doing quests, from acquiring these bundles. You can do any of them in any order you wish or please, and you can unlock rewards without purchasing some things. Some you can and cannot. And like I said, we're going to keep adding to it. We're going to keep giving you more quests so you can continually progress higher and higher.
And so I think the first one, again, not going to be available immediately, will be available a little bit later. We have an Omega skin, and this time it's going to be coming out for Dredge. And Dredge already, I think, has a ton of just class with his skins, as well as being able to get that Christmas skin. But this coming through being something, just a completely different element of weapon and just Dredge skin.
Oh, yeah.
For this one, I mean, how was it, I guess, incorporating like things like the Kraken, having to deal with the tentacles and make those robotic?
We actually planned for a sci-fi skin like way back while we were actually working on Dredge as a base, so we kind of built some tools ahead of time. But with this skin, we really kind of wanted to hit this high-level theme of the sort of like villain of the Omega realm, like this like overlord leader cyborg / android guy. But yeah, the skin came together beautifully. Awesome splash art by Casey here. Just fantastic work all around.
And again, just like the other skins, we do have a turnaround with him with some of the voice lines as well, so you can get to see the 3D model as we go to that now.
I'm so excited! There's so many things to blow up! 1 bomb, 2 bomb, red bomb, kaboom bomb! Well, you see, first you press the button, then... boom! Explosions first, questions later. Tick-tock, tick-tock, merrily sings the clock. It's time for work, it's time for play, so you explode throughout the day.
Wow.
Crazy? I'm not crazy. My user experience just isn't complete. Can you explode? It looks like you can explode. No, you will definitely explode. Careful, I've got a short fuse.
I'm not sure what my favorite element of the skin is. If it's the fact that we still have a robotic squid to interact with Dredge, or if it's the fact that he is just insane.
Yeah, it's okay to like both.
Dude, I love the Mad Bomber trope,
Yeah.
and like adding in the fact that it's like a sentient AI Mad programmer is just a whole new land of opportunities.
I mean, there's so much, I guess, that could even lead into that. And again, just being able to look at the way the squid looks, the
Fire again, Kevin. Yes.
way the gun looks. And
It's a meaty sound.
for, I guess, like you said, when you were designing Dread, when that was coming through, the art style for all that, this was already in mind. So was it just kind of like, okay, well, we know how we want to take these like abyssal effects and turn them into something more technological?
Yeah, we knew kind of investing in the squid early on was going to be a challenge for us, and particularly with the front of the gun, we kind of wanted to have an option for a nice organic tentacle and then a more mechanical limb that could kind of hurl the grenades out of the gun itself. But this skin came together really great and just came across really fantastic, and we did kind of hide a subtle or not so subtle sort of nod to the undead motif with the kind of loose skull shapes across the body and the kind of skeletal like ribcage tubes running along him.
I like
so it's
skeletons.
an undead cyborg, basically.
I like skeletons, and I like metal skeletons even more.
And I think the
Sky is
one
metal.
I've seen, the Rift looking like, again, like just a technological Rift. It's the same kind of concept, but the Kraken, that was what I was most interested in. And the tentacles coming through aren't quite tentacles.
Well, it's more, hydraulic arms that, smash puny
His giant
organics.
robot friend that just happens to stop by and beat you up for a little bit.
Yep, basically.
So coming through, I mean, this skin, again, remarkable, but not available immediately, Alyssa. Like, do you have, I guess, more details on when this is going to get added in?
Yeah, this one is February 27th. So the End Times event is not just a single patch thing. We're going to be giving you guys content throughout the next several weeks. So this isn't actually the only skin that's going to be releasing February 27th. And we've got even more that we're not going to be talking about today because we want to save those surprises for later. Even more coming after that.
And you can see there in slow-mo is the
So cool.
tendrils, I guess is the only way I can think to describe them, spin around, demolish, the nice slow-mo, and the cooldowns allowing you to do multiple at once, but coming out of the rift on the pillar, like that is some insane
awesome.
effects. You can see the emotes in chat as they come through, but again, that is not the last skin that's coming through, and it's another one that's going to be a little bit later. He was on the art for the rewards. Now you can actually see a Mega Makoa, who is also going to be coming in, and I can't think of anything cooler than a robot turtle.
There isn't anything cooler than a robot.
I mean, that's it right there. You nailed it.
Yeah, no, he's like Makoa is a tank, right? A turtle is nature's version of a tank.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So we put a tank on a tank.
So he's a literal
Basically.
tank now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming through, the axe is there and
Yep.
everything, but that's, I mean,
Yep.
insane splash art, and we have the model as well, so we can just go ahead and look at that and listen to some of the voice lines.
Makoa unit online. Proceeding to remove
that shell's
all
cool.
organic life.
That shell.
Citizens of the realm, gather together to increase termination efficiency. I need your armor, your thrusters, and your life. You have exceeded the population limit and must be cold. A man walks into a bar. It is destroyed. Target elimination successful. Extinction is inevitable.
Updating Makoa units already.
Oh, that's good.
You will comply.
I feel like he has those vibes of like every short sci-fi tank that you like, where the head, like you can retreat, like you can see him still like having like turtle aspects to him.
Oh, I never saw the projectile.
And this cannon looks incredibly good. So, I mean, coming through, I like that. I haven't seen any of the assets. I haven't seen any of the skins for this patch, and I feel like getting Garrett's reaction.
Dude, I want to touch it. I want to hold
so
that.
great.
That cannonball that he fires.
Yeah.
I just want to hold that. It's like the magic basketball from Space Jam. That like touch this.
Oh, God.
I feel if I hold that, I will gain the
yourself
powers of Makoa. Woo! There's blades on it. Do it again. Yes.
So again, I guess the concept, alternate timeline. It's Robo Makoa, but you got to. I mean, you get to play around a lot with this.
So
just
the
because
like
of the way
the
turtles fit
brief
together.
lore around this specific. Oh, okay.
So cool.
The brief lore around this specific skin is that he like this is like a mass-produced tank unit.
Yeah.
That
Military
like
oriented.
but has been like programmed by taken over by the Omega Magistrate, right? And been like, let's refocus some wiring here so it's a little bit more malicious.
And this skin is on the reward track, so this isn't one that you have to purchase at all. You just get 120 rewards, and this patch, it's not like in the event store where you would use your currency to get certain items. Like, you get 120 chrono shards, you get the skin.
And so, as was mentioned earlier, quests, purchasing skins, anything that gives you chrono shards, is going to be able to help you attain this masterpiece that is coming through. I can't think of anything more fun. Well, except maybe Terminus, because he gets to do the same thing, where it's just meleeing people as a robot, where there's not much you can do. There's just this angry, hulking robot running towards you,
Turtle
and
in
you
an
just
iron
kind of have
shell.
to deal with
Okay,
it.
let me see that hook again.
That hook, the line on it.
Yeah, it was
looks
snappy,
remarkable.
dude. It was real snappy. I liked it.
Well, we get the slow-mo on it, too.
That
You have to
okay.
hit.
I like it.
Oh,
She
come on.
doesn't. Oh,
Be
she's a
good.
friendly.
Wait, I hope you sincerely weren't trying to hook your ally there, Kev. Come on. Yeah.
Of course not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
So cool.
Solid. Solid. Great job, team. Hell yeah.
So as you see there, also coming out a little later, February 27th is the day that this skin is going to get released, and you'll be able to unlock it. But you get all the cool effects, all of the cool, I don't even know how to describe it. I guess just the abilities that are coming, not only with the skin, but also those cool cannons that Garrett is going to find a way to make them real. That is going to be it for the Omega skins for this patch that are coming out. And again, like we said, more that can be released down the line, but that is going to be the ones that are coming immediately later. But there's another chest. I liked the name that I had in the show flow before we changed it, but it is the Senpai chest.
Senpai.
Yeah, I think that
Senpai
is
chest.
the first time, and ideally it'll be the only time that I'll say Senpai on
Senpai
broadcast is
noticed
going to be this
us.
patch
Yeah.
notes.
Yeah.
But we have a Genos skin coming as well. It's
Yes,
called
we do.
Gentleman Genos, and this is another one I haven't seen, but just based on what I've heard about him, there's going to be maybe some familiar themes, familiar aspects that you'll see of
My
this
work
skin.
here is done.
No, he's cool, man. He's real
Beautiful
cool.
splash art by April here.
I love his hair. And that's, I think, the weirdest thing
He's
to
dapper.
latch onto. But
You're
I
making
like
Nick jealous,
how-
man. You're making Nick jealous.
Well, Nick chopped off his hair, and you have Genos here coming in, the full, I guess, ponytail, even though it's tied way towards the end. But we have the turnaround
As
as
you do,
well.
as you do.
So you can
Yep.
get to see, and I'm actually excited to see what his rifle is going to be like. So
It's
let's
pretty
go
sick.
ahead
It's
and
pretty sick.
Watch and listen to Gentleman Genos.
I am Genos, defender of hope. With the starlight crystal, I will vanquish all hate and conquer evil. Anytime, anywhere, whenever you're uncertain or worried, I'll be there for you. Some call me garish, but at least I do not fight with roses. I could see myself working at a tuxedo store. It suits me. Fighting villains by starlight, winning games by daylight, never running from cauterize.
How could we do that?
He is the one named Genos Star. Beauty and love will guide me to victory.
Look at that weapon, guys.
Yeah,
That
the weapon is
I was
fantastic.
fixated on that.
It's so cool.
The first thing I was obsessed with was the cape, but the weapon has definitely won me over. I think
Okay,
that's the
so
thing.
there's a story behind this skin. When Siege of Ascension Peak came out last year, Genos had a lot of fangirls. Like there was a lot of Genos fan art, a lot of Genos fangirls, and there was fan art that kind of drew him as like a tuxedo mask type, you know, handsome gentleman. And I went to Alex and I was like, Alex, we have to have a tuxedo mask Genos, a copyright tuxedo mask Genos. And that is where this skin originated from, with some of that fan art and the fangirls. So if any Genos fangirls are watching, this one is for you.
I mean, you get the cape, you get an amazing weapon. I think that's actually one of my favorite things about Genos is in first person, you still get some remarkable things with his rifle, being able to have that.
Yeah.
That's been like across all of his skins.
Yes.
But getting things like that for your third person, having the top hat as well as all of those voice lines, everything was great. And is there any? I'm sure we're about to see the effects for the alt. So I guess when making this skin, we have you know a whole slew. I mean, we just did the battle suit pass, so anime is not too far from something that the artists are able to do. Was this one relatively easy to tackle?
This skin just fell into place. The theme's really strong, and it just works. Genos is a great character to work with. Really, it was pretty easy. The weapon, even as complex as it is, really just came together really quickly.
So this is one of the skins, again, coming out with the next patch, but it is going to be in the Senpai chest. So is that going to be, what all, I guess, other than this is going to be in there? How much is the chest going to cost?
There's a lot of different anime-themed skins in the Senpai chest. There's actually also a new title that I really love that just was a mistake. It's the title. So that one's new as
I know
well.
exactly what I'm equipping when I get it.
So Senpai noticed us. Got us this chest.
It's gonna be it takes a lot to get me to move away from and friends, because most of the time I'm playing Paladins, I'm in a party, so I always feel like it's customary. But I feel like was a mistake. It's probably the best tagline, probably maybe just for my life. Either way, it's going to be really good there. Again, in the Senpai chest that'll come out in the next one, and of course that is the end of the skins that we have for this patch. And now normally, I'd say the time that we spend on bugs would be the amount of time we spend on balance, especially if you go to last patch notes. We sat for probably an hour talking about the changes that were coming through. This one, not quite as much, because the patch just released last week. So want to walk us through, Garrett, what exactly is going to be balanced for this patch?
Absolutely. So everyone knows we just kind of shipped the 2.01 release. We had a slew of changes for y'all. And not so long ago was when that dropped. So we're kind of still seeing how things settle. Granted, there's no large outstanding things that we're like, oh, we have to rein this in really quickly. No statistical outliers. And then really the only changes for balance in this patch are for the newest character, Amani, right? Which are going to hit both in the hotfix. That's probably, we said that was released now, right?
Yeah, it's released on PC.
And then a couple more changes that couldn't make it in to the hotfix, but will be releasing in this patch. So in the hotfix, what we did was we reduced the duration of the ultimate, Dragon's Call. So the avatar is on the plane of battle for less time. We also introduced a mechanic where when the dragon is firing, the dragon will move slower. This is likely due, or basically, the dragon's really dope. It's really fun. It's really awesome. But it maintained speed while also maintaining lethality. And the added factor of, okay, I need to move into position and then elect to opt into my moment of lethality, and I couldn't just do it all the time, was actually a really big factor in making that experience far less oppressive. Coupled in tandem with the fact that knowledge is kind of trickling out that bulldozer affects it. It's lasting for less time as well. And we also reduced the charge rate, so it should be up less frequently. Interestingly enough, she had the same charge rate actually as many of our other damage characters. It's just Amani has a lot of very damaging tools, so she's very damaging. So we've just seen it up far more frequently. But those are the ones that are coming in the hotfix. And then in 2.02, the changes that are on here are going to be as follows. So what we're doing is we're changing Pyreball slightly. I know we also changed it like previously too. We took the damage up 100. This was after PTS feedback, meaning that Fire Stance feels not as good as Frost. Frost was clearly better. So we elected to go to 1100 on the damage attack. However, what that introduces is it gets us back into the kind of burst meta territory, right? With being able to chain those back to back with very minimal time with the clear cast proc. So we've elected to go down a different path now, which is the Pyreball charge time is going to go from 1.6 to 1.2. So faster. You're going to be hooking these balls out way faster, and they're going to be doing less damage. However, you're actually landing at a increased DPS, but your burst is going to be less. Yeah. So as a trade-off we're going to make, it should have fire in probably a better stance. It's directly comparable to Shaolin, right? Because very similar charge mechanic, very similar damage number. And the differences, right, are the delivery mechanics. So it's a 0.2 second longer charge time between Amani and Shaw, doing the same damage, and Amani's travels slower, but has a larger projectile. So a little bit of a handoff there, and should see fire in a good spot.
This is probably, I think, some of the changes that I'm most excited for, just because it is one of those areas where, I don't know, like when she came out, a lot of people were already jumping on ice stance. They felt, I think it's partially because, you know, you throw out your enhance maybe a little faster, so you have your DPS up a little bit more, but it just felt slower. So this is going to be, I think, a big positive change for her. And plus, I've been trying to make a fire build for like the last 2 weeks, and in the games I could actually get her, it works, and it's really, really fun. So I'm excited for these changes. But I mean, that's really it, because like you said, we've only had this patch out for about a week. She's the only one who's kind of standing outside of the norm, right?
Yeah, and honestly, like, this is mostly a feels thing. Like we wanted to kind of stay true to our commitment to like no insane moments of burst, like 1100 instances of damages back to back. And also the fact that statistically she's actually performing really well. She's a really high play rate. People are really liking her. And she's like smack dab right in the middle in terms of like efficacy and win percent, right where we want her. We're just trying to shore up these outliers.
It's exactly what you want to hear. I think from your standpoint, as well as from players, she is incredibly fun to play.
I got one more thing. Sorry, in the hotfix, there was also a mechanics change on Frostfire Glide, right? Where if you come into contact with a surface that stops your momentum entirely, it won't cancel the ability. This was put in there because it was mostly kind of like a safeguard against a potential bad feels situation, because your turn rate is restricted in this mode. What we were trying to protect against, which resulted in ultimately a worse experience, we feel, at least that's what player feedback has been, was essentially like, we want, like, if you get into a wall and you couldn't turn out of it in time, you were effectively rooted against that wall because it's a slower turn rate. So we thought like, okay, we'd find a threshold of like, if I am not moving basically at all, we cut the ability, but player feedback is that they'd still rather be like slowly moving against a wall than have the ability canceled. So that's the trade-off we made, and hopefully it's a better feels experience for you guys.
Again, I think nothing but fun that's been coming out from Amani, and nothing but positive changes from what I'm hearing. I'm actually really excited to see when these come live. And that's, I want to say, the bulk of the patch notes. New event, new map, a ton of new skins that are going to come out with a lot of really awesome
fixes.
Effects. A lot of fixes. I forgot that was an hour ago now that we went through about 20, 15 minutes of those. So there's still things, again, if you want to look online, you can find those, but there's some community things that are still there. The Assembly of Champions, I'm guessing the voting's closing soon.
Yeah, the voting closes end of day tomorrow. So we want to leave it up as long as we can to give everybody the chance to vote, but end of day tomorrow is when it closes. So I was looking at the votes earlier today, and some of them are really, really close, guys. I'm talking about like 2 vote differences between some of the candidates. Wow. So make sure you go to paladins.com/AOC and vote. You can also overwrite your vote if you've changed your mind, but whichever one you voted for when the polls close, that is the one that's locked in. And we're going to be working with those 8 delegates throughout the entire year as a branch of the development team. So make sure to vote for whoever you believe in and who you think will be a good voice for the community.
And you had, I guess, told me earlier to kind of hint at that, you know, people have been questioning Valentine's Day is coming up, and there hasn't necessarily been too much talk about it. So what's going on with that?
So Valentine's Day is coming up. You can expect the Valentine's chest to be back next week, and we might also have some new content in the Valentine's chest to show you. So keep an eye out on our social media. We're also going to be doing in-game events on Valentine's Day and some out-of-game community events. So keep an eye out on our channels, and we will let you know as soon as we get a little bit closer.
I'm joining the reindeer game. Well, I guess they're not reindeer games because it's
This isn't
Valentine's
reindeer
Day.
games.
Reindeer can participate in Valentine's Day if they want.
Sure.
I'm not going to tell them no.
I won't tell them no. You're right.
That's the main community. We also had some esports updates for anyone who has been interested in either the PPL, the Premier League, as well as the Minor League or the Console League. The Minor League and the Console League, I think, are the most important for a lot of the players out there because it is going to be an open bracket qualifier that is starting on the 2nd. So if you're playing either on console, PS4, and Xbox, or if you are playing on PC and you want to join into those, keep your eyes open for them. You can go and see the rules, guidelines, how to join, all of those details on esports.paladins.com, and then there's a little box that will say news. Click on that, and it's going to be pretty much right there. And the other thing we have is that the orgs for the PPL were announced. We got to send those out, I think, about last week. Talked about them a little bit on Esports Weekly earlier this week. And for the people who have seen it, we have a ton that are returning, Navi, Envy, as well as a couple that are joining. We have the Pittsburgh Knights, Space Station Gaming, and Kanga Esports all joining the league. And free agency is ending tomorrow, so we're going to start getting the contracts finalized for all the players, which means the rosters at some point in the near future are going to finally be able to kind of come out.
How near future, Gore? Do I get it now?
I actually have a specific note that says do not say any time frame. So, it could be as early as sometime next week, but it could be as late as a couple of weeks because a lot of things, like we're trying to make sure players are getting visas, moving, making sure their contracts are finalized.
Right.
So there's
you
a ton of
just
details
said
going
no,
into it.
it's fine. It's
But
fine.
rosters will be coming soon. Of course, we every single hint I see at any roster, I get giddy about. I am incredibly excited for everything to start.
It's going to be good.
I mean, that's going to be it for the show. I do have one more question, I think, for Alyssa, which is just going to be, date for the patch as well as maybe a PTS.
So date for the patch, we're aiming for mid-February. We do have an extended PTS for this one, and we're aiming for tomorrow for PTS, probably looking at Friday.
Okay.
And you can go check out the patch notes right now on Paladins.com.
Yep, they're going to be online. You can go through. That is where you're going to see everything that is mentioned on the bug fix that isn't fixed but is on our list of things to track down. But that is going to be it for the show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Hopefully, we will see you in the realm when you're playing, especially with this new event and new map. But until next time, we'll see you later.